In the summer of 2013, police and paramedics converged on a quiet suburban street after Amanda Bynes, once Nickelodeon's comedic prodigy and a box office bright spot in She's the Man, Hairspray, over $200 million worldwide, and Easy A, reportedly set a small fire in a stranger's driveway. Hours later, she was placed on an involuntary psychiatric hold. It felt like the tipping point in a spiraling timeline, a 2012 DUI, hit-and-run charges, erratic social media tirades, a New York arrest over an alleged bong toss from a high-rise window, and public pleas for help that read like dispatches from a mind at war with itself. For nearly 9 years, her life proceeded under a conservatorship, even as she stepped back from acting, enrolled at the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising, and spoke candidly about substance abuse and mental health treatment. In 2022, the court dissolved the conservatorship. A year later, headlines flashed again when Bynes, disoriented, alone, reportedly flagged down a car and called 911 herself. How did a child star so quick-witted she could carry a sketch show at 13 become tabloid shorthand for breakdown? What happens to a young woman when fame arrives early, exits abruptly, and leaves untreated illness in the wreckage? And is a comeback still possible when the first task is simply to get well? Amanda Laura Bynes was born on April 3, 1986, in Thousand Oaks, California, the youngest of 3 children in a close-knit suburban family. Her father, Rick Bynes, was a dentist, and her mother, Lynn Organ, worked as a dental assistant. Unlike many child stars who grew up in Hollywood households, Amanda's upbringing was relatively grounded, filled with family outings, school events, and a strong support system from her siblings Tommy and Jillian. From an early age, Amanda displayed a natural gift for performance. Her parents often recalled how she would entertain family gatherings with impressions and playful skits. At just 7 years old, she began performing in community theater and quickly demonstrated an instinct for comedy. Her parents, though cautious, supported her ambitions, enrolling her in acting classes and sending her to auditions across Los Angeles. Amanda's childhood was shaped not by wealth or privilege, but by her undeniable talent and her parents' encouragement. At age 10, she landed a role in a commercial for Bunch of Crunch Candy, her first professional gig. Soon after, she was cast in Nickelodeon's All That, a sketch comedy show that became her launching pad. Though her family life was warm and stable, Amanda's early entry into the entertainment industry introduced pressures few children can handle. The adoration of audiences, the long hours on set, and the demand for constant reinvention placed her in an adult world long before she was ready. Her parents remained supportive, often accompanying her to sets, but even they could not shield her from the intensity of child stardom. Amanda's childhood thus became a dual narrative: the playful youngest child from Thousand Oaks and the budding comedy star who could make entire audiences laugh on cue. This duality, ordinary girl and extraordinary performer, would shape her identity and later complicate her struggles when fame became overwhelming. Amanda Bynes' education was unconventional, split between classrooms and TV sets. While she attended regular school in Thousand Oaks, her real lessons came under studio lights. Teachers and classmates remembered her as friendly but often absent, juggling scripts with homework. Even as a child, Amanda seemed to carry 2 identities: the normal suburban student and the rising young star. Her first big break came in 1996, when at just 10 years old she joined the cast of Nickelodeon's sketch show All That. Instantly, she stood out. Her impeccable timing, rubbery facial expressions, and knack for impressions, from celebrities to quirky characters, made her a fan favorite. Producers recognized her rare ability to carry entire sketches, and soon Amanda was the youngest performer trusted with recurring characters. By 1999, her talent earned her a spin-off, The Amanda Show. At only 13, Amanda was headlining her own variety program, a rarity in children's television. The show, featuring memorable sketches like Judge Trudy and Moody's Point, became a hit and proved she wasn't just another child actor, she was a bona fide comedy star. Behind the scenes, however, The responsibility was enormous. Carrying a weekly show at such a young age meant long hours, high expectations, and the pressure of constant performance. Despite the workload, Amanda tried to maintain a sense of normalcy. She attended Thousand Oaks High School and later graduated from a private school in 2004. Teachers described her as bright and artistic, though her education was frequently interrupted by filming schedules. The balancing act was challenging, but Amanda's discipline and natural comedic instincts allowed her to thrive. By her late teens, Amanda had seamlessly transitioned from TV to film. She appeared in Big Fat Liar, 2002, alongside Frankie Muniz, which became a box office success and solidified her as a bankable young actress. At the same time, she pursued voice work, theater roles, and honed her craft in ways that suggested she was preparing for a long-term career in entertainment. Amanda's early career trajectory seemed unstoppable, from a Nickelodeon child prodigy to a rising star in Hollywood. Yet, beneath the polished exterior, the seeds of pressure and identity struggles were already being sown. By the early 2000s, Amanda Bynes had successfully outgrown her Nickelodeon roots and was ready to conquer the big screen. Her first major starring role came with What a Girl Wants, 2003, where she played Daphne Reynolds, an American teenager traveling to London to reconnect with her estranged father. The film was a modest box office hit, but, more importantly, it showcased Amanda's ability to anchor a feature-length movie with charm, comedic instincts, and emotional depth. Critics praised her natural screen presence, and young audiences embraced her as a relatable new voice. Her next leap cemented her as a household name. In She's the Man, 2006, a modern-day twist on Shakespeare's Twelfth Night, Amanda disguised herself as her twin brother to play on a boys' soccer team. The film's physical comedy, witty dialogue, and her fearless performance turned it into a cult classic. Amanda's portrayal of Viola Hastings won over fans worldwide, and even today, the film is remembered as one of the definitive teen comedies of the 2000s. Amanda's career hit new heights with Hairspray, 2007, the musical adaptation co-starring John Travolta, Queen Latifah, and Zac Efron. As Penny Pingleton, Amanda held her own in a star-studded cast and proved she could succeed in ensemble productions. The movie grossed over $200 million globally, marking the peak of her commercial success. Her final significant film role came with Easy A, 2010, where she played Marianne Bryant, a judgmental Christian student opposite Emma Stone. Though a supporting role, Amanda's comedic sharpness stood out, and the movie became a surprise hit. For many fans, this would be their last memory of Amanda as an actress before her sudden retreat from Hollywood. Throughout this period, Amanda was celebrated as one of the rare child stars who seemed to navigate the transition into adulthood gracefully. She appeared regularly on magazine covers, was included in Forbes's list of highest-paid young stars, and even considered branching into fashion and design. Producers admired her reliability, her ability to balance slapstick with sincerity, and her magnetic appeal to both teens and parents. But behind the glowing career trajectory were whispers of unease. Amanda later admitted that even during her peak, she felt deep discomfort watching herself on screen. Self-conscious about her appearance and critical of her performances, she began questioning her place in Hollywood. What audiences saw as effortless comedy often masked an actress increasingly struggling with anxiety, insecurity, and the immense weight of fame. At her career's height, Amanda Bynes seemed destined for long-term stardom, perhaps even to follow in the footsteps of comedic icons like Lucille Ball or Goldie Hawn. Instead, the very visibility that made her a star would soon expose her most painful battles, transforming her story from one of promise to one of public unraveling. Unlike many of her Hollywood contemporaries, Amanda Bynes never became known for a string of high-profile romances. In fact, her love life was relatively quiet during her early years in the spotlight, a stark contrast to the constant paparazzi attention surrounding other young stars of the 2000s. Still, the few relationships she did have, and the rumors that swirled around them, fed into the narrative of a young actress navigating fame. privacy, and vulnerability. In the mid-2000s, Amanda was linked to several fellow young actors, including Taran Killam, her co-star on The Amanda Show, and Nick Zano, whom she worked with on What I Like About You. These relationships, though relatively low profile, were fodder for teen magazines and paparazzi outlets eager to portray Amanda as the next teen queen moving through Hollywood's dating scene. There were also persistent rumors of flirtations or brief romances with co-stars like Drake Bell and Frankie Muniz, though Amanda rarely confirmed anything publicly. Unlike Britney Spears, Lindsay Lohan, or Paris Hilton, whose love lives were endlessly dissected, Amanda often kept her romantic world behind the curtain, preferring to be seen as approachable, funny, and relatable rather than scandalous. That privacy, however, began to erode as her career slowed and her personal struggles mounted. By the late 2000s, the tabloids shifted their attention from potential boyfriends to Amanda's increasingly erratic behavior. Social media fueled speculation. Amanda herself would tweet cryptic or confrontational messages, sometimes calling out celebrities like Drake, sparking viral moments that blurred the line between humor and distress. Marriage was never a milestone Amanda reached, though at different times she spoke about wanting to settle down and have a family. In 2020, she briefly announced an engagement to Paul Michael, a man she reportedly met in rehab. The news shocked fans, who were uncertain whether Amanda was in a stable place to pursue marriage. The relationship appeared on again, off again, and became another chapter in the public's ongoing fascination with her fragile recovery. Amanda's love life thus reflects a larger theme in her story: a young woman who struggled to define herself outside of her public persona. While her peers often courted publicity through high-profile romances, Amanda seemed to oscillate between craving normalcy and spiraling into the spotlight through personal chaos. Her relationships, quiet, fleeting, and often overshadowed by her mental health struggles, never defined her career. But they revealed the difficulty of building intimacy under the glare of fame. Ultimately, Amanda's most complicated relationship was not with any romantic partner but with Hollywood itself, the industry that launched her, celebrated her, and then magnified her collapse. By the early 2010s, Amanda Bynes' once bright Hollywood career had unraveled into a string of arrests, bizarre incidents, and troubling social media outbursts. What began as whispers of erratic behavior soon escalated into one of the most public celebrity breakdowns of the decade. Her downward spiral started in 2012, when she was arrested for driving under the influence in Los Angeles. Within months, she was involved in 2 separate hit-and-run incidents, earning her a suspended license and probation. Paparazzi photographs of Amanda, often disheveled, wandering the streets, or driving recklessly, circulated widely, signaling that the once polished star was in crisis. In 2013, Amanda's troubles intensified. She was arrested in New York after allegedly throwing a bong out of her 36th floor apartment window during a police search. Though the charges were later dropped, the bizarre nature of the incident fueled public ridicule. That same year, she set a small fire in a stranger's driveway in Thousand Oaks, California, which resulted in an involuntary psychiatric hold for fans who had grown up watching her as a Nickelodeon star. The images of Amanda in court or being escorted by police were heartbreaking. Equally concerning was Amanda's increasingly erratic use of Twitter. She launched tirades against fellow celebrities, including Rihanna, Drake, and her former co-stars. Some tweets were humorous in their absurdity, while others were disturbing, reflecting paranoia, hostility, or disconnection from reality. The media amplified these posts, turning Amanda into a tabloid spectacle, much like Britney Spears during her 2007 breakdown. Behind the scenes, Amanda was struggling with both substance abuse and mental illness. She later admitted to abusing Adderall and other substances, and she was eventually diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Without consistent treatment, her condition worsened, and her public image collapsed. By 2014, her parents were granted a conservatorship, giving them control over her finances and medical decisions. While this provided stability, It also reignited debates about how Hollywood handles troubled stars. Amanda officially announced her retirement from acting in 2010 after Easy A citing her inability to watch herself on screen without feeling intense anxiety. What should have been a graceful transition into adulthood became instead a retreat from the industry under painful circumstances. Producers no longer called, insurers wouldn't back her, and directors saw her as too unstable to hire. The tragedy of Amanda's downfall lay not only in her behavior but in the way the media consumed it. Every mugshot, every erratic tweet, every public meltdown was broadcast, dissected, and mocked. The young woman once celebrated for her comedic brilliance became a punchline. Her pain commodified as entertainment. By the mid-2010s, Amanda had all but disappeared from the public eye, surfacing only in court appearances or paparazzi snapshots. Her once bright career was effectively over, replaced by a narrative of scandal, breakdown, and lost potential. For a generation who grew up with The Amanda Show and She's the Man, her downfall was especially jarring. She wasn't just another celebrity, she was a childhood icon whose collapse felt personal. Watching her spiral raised uncomfortable questions about the pressures of child stardom, the lack of mental health support in Hollywood, and society's appetite for consuming celebrity meltdowns. Amanda Bynes' downfall was not a single event but a slow-motion implosion, captured and amplified by a culture both horrified and entertained by her unraveling. It was the story of a gifted performer undone not only by her own demons but by an industry and media machine that turned her suffering into spectacle. After the string of arrests and psychiatric holds in the early 2010s, Amanda Bynes retreated almost completely from Hollywood. Her acting career, once thriving, was over. What followed was a decade defined not by roles on screen but by the consequences of her public breakdown and fragile attempts at recovery. In 2013, the court granted Amanda's parents a conservatorship, giving them control over her finances and medical decisions. For nearly 9 years, she lived under this arrangement, similar to Britney Spears, which restricted her independence but provided structure as she sought treatment for bipolar disorder and substance abuse. Amanda herself later acknowledged that, while frustrating at times, the conservatorship likely saved her life during her darkest years. During this period, Amanda largely disappeared from the public spotlight. Instead of film sets, she enrolled at the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising, FIDM, in Los Angeles. Immersing herself in fashion and design allowed her to rebuild away from the relentless glare of Hollywood. Classmates described her as quiet, focused, and surprisingly low-key, determined to craft a new identity outside of acting. In 2019, she even received her associate's degree, walking across the stage to applause that symbolized a small but meaningful comeback. Publicly, Amanda expressed regret for her past actions. In a rare 2018 interview, she admitted that abusing Adderall had contributed to her erratic behavior and that she deeply regretted the tweets and incidents that had made her a tabloid spectacle. She spoke with surprising clarity about her breakdown, acknowledging the pain she caused herself and her family, while expressing hope for a return to creative work, whether in fashion or someday, acting. In March 2022, a judge officially terminated her conservatorship, declaring Amanda competent to manage her own affairs. The decision was met with celebration by fans who had long rooted for her recovery. Amanda herself released a statement thanking her parents and supporters, signaling optimism about her future. Yet attempts at a true comeback have remained fragile. In 2023, Amanda was found wandering the streets of Los Angeles in a state of apparent psychosis, reportedly calling 911 on herself. Though she received treatment, the incident highlighted the ongoing challenges of managing her mental health outside the safety net of conservatorship. Amanda's story in this phase is not one of Hollywood revival, but of survival. She shifted from the spotlight of stardom to the quieter pursuit of stability, education, and self-healing. Her journey reflects both progress and vulnerability. A young woman scarred by fame but still searching for a path forward. Her attempted comeback may not involve blockbuster films or sitcoms, but in a culture increasingly aware of mental health, Amanda Bynes stands as a reminder of the toll child stardom can take, and the courage it requires simply to keep moving forward. Today, Amanda Bynes lives far from the glitter of Hollywood, her life defined more by resilience than by fame. Since the end of her conservatorship in 2022, she has enjoyed new freedoms, but also faced the daunting reality of managing her health without court oversight. She continues to battle bipolar disorder and the lingering effects of substance abuse, openly acknowledging her struggles in the rare interviews she has given. In 2023, news of her wandering the streets of Los Angeles in a psychotic state reminded the public that recovery is rarely linear. Yet the fact that she called 911 herself suggested growth, recognition of crisis, and a willingness to seek help. Creatively, Amanda has shifted her focus away from acting. She still expresses interest in fashion design, having studied at FIDM, and occasionally hints at entrepreneurial projects. While fans hold out hope for a screen comeback, Amanda seems more interested in building a quiet, stable life. The pressures of Hollywood, which once fueled her collapse, may no longer be compatible with her pursuit of wellness. Public perception of Amanda has softened over time. Where once the media mocked her erratic behavior, today she is often viewed with empathy, seen as part of a broader conversation about mental health, child stardom, and celebrity culture's exploitative nature. Documentaries, think pieces, and online communities revisit her career not as a punchline, but as a cautionary tale. Her story now rests in an uncertain space. She is neither the child star adored by millions nor the tabloid spectacle of her 20s. She is Amanda, an artist, a survivor, and a woman still navigating life after the storm. Whether she ever steps back into Hollywood or not, her journey raises the question: is survival itself the comeback? The ending to Amanda Bynes' story is still unwritten. Perhaps that is fitting. After years of scripts, roles, and headlines written for her, she is finally the one holding the pen.